The protest began in June 2024, in response to a ruling by the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, reinstating a quota for descendants of freedom fighters. The protest, which initially began as a response to the re-established quota system for government jobs, quickly spread throughout the entire country because of the government's violent response, as well as growing public dissatisfaction against an oppressive, authoritarian and autocratic government. When the Awami League regime's student wing Chhatra League instigated violence and attacked protesters, the dynamics of the protests changed rapidly. There were attacks in the streets on protesters as well as attacks in university campuses and halls. This evolved and followed by large numbers of university students collectively gathering and demonstrating in the streets of the capital, Dhaka. In response to these student-led protests, Sheikh Hasina stated in a press conference, "If the grandchildren of freedom fighters don't get quota benefits, will those then go to the grandchildren of the Razakars?"
মুক্তিযোদ্ধাদের নাতিপুতিরাও পাবে না, তাহলে কি রাজাকারের নাতিপুতিরা পাবে?
As mentioned earlier, the word Razakar is used as a pejorative and a degrading term meaning traitor. The protesters interpreted this referring to them as Razakars. They then adopted the title Razakar in some of their slogans. They were being viciously and inhumanely attacked by the Bangladeshi police force, armed forces, members of the Awami League, members of the Chhatra League and members of the youth wing of Awami League's Jubo League. Sheikh Hasina and her brutal Awami League party conducted a massive nationwide crackdown on protesters with the help of the police, RAB and armed forces. The brutal Awami League government had also imposed a national curfew. For many days, student protests continued throughout the country, and such protests and demonstrations were met with violence and brutality from Awami League's affiliated factions. By the 2nd of August 2024, over 20,000 students were injured and more than 250 killed at the hands of the armed forces and Chhatra League. The Bangladeshi army joined the protesters to ensure there were no further killings. The anti-discrimination student movement and protesters welcomed the support of the army but insisted and stayed firm in their demand that the dictator Sheikh Hasina resigns from her post as Prime Minister of Bangladesh. On the 5th of August 2024, after weeks of struggle with over 400 deaths and more than 20,000 injured, the national protests led by the brave students forced the brutal dictator Sheikh Hasina to leave the official residence and flee the country for India on a military helicopter with her sister Sheikh Rehana. Bangladesh's army chief Waqar-uz-Zaman announced on the 5th of August 2024 that an interim government will be formed in the country, and after negotiations with the student movement, it was agreed that Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus should act as the chief advisor of the interim government of Bangladesh. Following his arrival to Bangladesh from Paris, Muhammad Yunus stated, "Today is a glorious day for us. Bangladesh has created a new victory day. Bangladesh has got a second independence."